And what's up, everybody? I'm back with another playoff predictions video, and it is October, or about to be October, I guess. It's about to be. Which means it is time for playoff baseball. The MLB playoffs are pretty much here. And it's a little weird because the Braves and the Mets are playing today. Or not the Braves and the Mets. No, it is the Braves and the Mets. Right? It is Braves Mets. Yeah, it is Braves Mets. They're playing today in a doubleheader. That's going to decide if they split it, they're both in. If one team sweeps, that team gets in, plus the Diamondbacks get in. I'm not going to wait for that because the games start before 3 o'clock tomorrow, and so I want to get this video up, so we're just going to kind of go off of what we go off of. But I got the full bracket pulled up anyways on the on my phone. So, here we go. So, should be all fun and games there. Now, I guess what I'm going to say here right now is I'm going to assume that the Braves and the Mets are going to split this series because obviously, if you're both playing, I think the mutual agreement is like, okay, we both want to be in the playoffs, right? So why don't one of us throw the first game and the other one throws the second game, and there we go. We're good. We're done. Everybody gets in. Everybody's happy. Whatnot. So we're going to assume that the Braves and the Mets are in this series, which would put them in a pretty decent, which would put them in a pertinent position. So here we go. But we're going to start in the American League. With my Tigers. Let's go, baby. I know I'm wearing the Lions jersey right now because it's game day and go Lions. But go Tigers, too. Tigers playing the Astros, A.J. Hinch's former team in a wild card series. This is going to be a tough one for the Tigers. They're going to get Scoobled game one. And other than that, their pitching is probably going to suck. So they're going to need some run support if they want to win a second game, which, is definitely possible, but it's, not necessarily guaranteed either. It's also not even guaranteed that they'll win with Scooble. So they gotta work for that. But I can't pick against the Detroit Tigers, man. They're in the playoffs for the first time in 10 years. I was a little youngin' last time they were in the playoffs, and their team looked a lot different then than it does now. In fact, none of the same players are on that team. None of the same really coaching staff are on the team anymore either, which is pretty crazy. I'm picking the Tigers to win this one. I'm picking them to move on because that's just... And fuck Houston as well. Fuck the Astros. So, there you go. And the other AL wildcard series is Kansas City is heading to Baltimore. The Royals are back in the playoffs for the first time in a while. The Orioles were here last year and got hilariously upset. And this series, this could be a pretty competitive one. The Royals were in free fall for a while, but they picked it up at the end and were able to also benefit from the Twins also being in complete free fall to clinch a playoff spot. They moved back into the second wild card spot after the Tigers completely shit the bed against the White Sox, which definitely will not translate over to their wild card performance. Definitely will not. It's going to be a tight series. I think it's going to go to 3 games. I'm going to pick the Orioles, though, just because of home field advantage. I think they have a stronger team, and just overall, I think they're in a better position to win this series. So, with that in mind, move over to the National League, where things, again, still have to be set. But like I said, I'm predicting that the Braves and the Mets are going to split the series. That would put the Mets heading to Milwaukee to face the Brewers in the first round. And I'm going to pick Milwaukee to win this, even though I would say, let's go Mets. Let's go Mets. Go Mets, go Mets, go Mets. It's the Mets. They're just like the Jets. You can't trust them to do anything to anyone. So I'm picking the Brewers to win this one. And then it would put the Braves heading to San Diego to face the Padres, who had a very strong team this season. The Braves, honestly, I'm surprised they're even in this position. I'm surprised that they even have to head on the road at all, barring that they actually get in. If Arizona somehow gets in, I don't think they're going to do anything either. Let's just put that clear that up right now. I don't think they're doing anything. But I do think the Braves will do something. I mean, it is the Padres. They don't have the greatest postseason record. They do have a strong team, though, and I think with, being home field, I'm going to give this one to San Diego, but I can see this one also being a very competitive series. So, could go either way, really. And then the divisional series in the ALDS, it would be, with my bracket, it would be Baltimore heading to Cleveland to face the Guardians. And I think the Guardians are going to win this one pretty handily in 3 or 4 games. Because the Orioles honestly aren't that great. They're just going to be playing a worser team in the Royals in the first round. So they're going to get by there. And I think they could probably steal a game, but only a game. I mean, it's not going to be much. The Guardians have put on a really strong season this year. And I think that's going to translate into a series win for Cleveland. So, sorry as much to say as against a division rival. It's just what I'm going to be. And then my Tigers are heading to New York to face the Yankees. And the Tigers actually have a really good record against the Yankees in the playoffs. They beat them in 2006. They beat them in 2011. They beat them in 2012. And that's awesome. I mean, they've beaten the Yankees in their last 3 playoff series matchups. That is pretty crazy. Now, granted, that was forever ago. And this is a completely different Yankees team. They're a huge powerhouse. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to pick the Tigers, baby. I think they're going to steal the show here. They're going to be riding off the momentum. They're actually going to get, at least if they get to this series, they're going to at least get 1 home game, which I think would be huge. Playoff baseball in Detroit, man, that's going to be insane. They'll have Skubal back. I assume that he's going to get enough rest to at least play 1 game, probably just 1 game in this series, which will definitely help too. I think they're going to be coming in pretty hot off that wild card series win. They're coming hot off of a really strong last month and a half of the season too. And I think that's going to translate to an upset of the Yankees, who have seemingly liked to choke in the playoffs since their last World Series win in 2009. So, and then the National League, with my bracket being, it would be the Brewers heading to Philadelphia to face the Phillies. We've been a very quiet but still strong team this year. And with that in mind, I am going to give the Phillies the win here in this series. Though it's only going to be, I think it's going to be a 6-game series, maybe 5 games. Definitely at least 5 games, probably 6. I wouldn't be surprised if it even went to 7 games in this series. This is seeming like a pretty competitive series, but I do think the Phillies have the edge with home field. They got Bryce Harper. He's a really good pitcher and a really strong team overall. So I do think that they are going to get this one done. And then an NL West rivalry matchup in the round for the Padres, who are going to be heading to LA to face the Dodgers. And honestly, this is, I think, where the Padres run comes to an end to the Dodgers team. As much as I hate the Dodgers, and I would really think it'd be really funny to see them lose, I definitely am going to say that they fall here in probably 4 games, maybe even 3, because it's the Padres. Fuck Manny Machado, but also just the Padres don't have that great of a record in the postseason. But the Dodgers losing would not necessarily be surprising, but it would also be extremely hilarious because they love to also choke in the playoffs. And they're like, oh, we won the 2020. That was a COVID year that didn't count. Okay, didn't count. Just didn't count. Then we get to our championship series. It's going to be a divisional rivalry in the American League, ALCS, with the Tigers heading to Cleveland. Playing Cleveland, I guess they're also going to head to they would also head to Detroit for a couple games, but Cleveland and Detroit, this will be a wild ALCS, 2 hated rivals of each other. But I'm going to give this one, I got to give this one to the Tigers. They're finally going to prevail. They're going to the World Series, baby, probably in about 6 games. I give them 6 games. With Skubal, they're probably going to get, if they play there, if they get this far, and things work out how I predict they will, they're going to get at least 1 game, maybe even 2 from Skubal in this series. And I think they're going to get some strong run support at their home stand, which I think is going to be necessary. This is a very powerful Guardians team. I saw them play back in July. And yeah, they can, they can do some shit. So let's hope for a better result this time. For a Tigers pennant win, how insane would that be? About as insane as the Phillies heading to LA to face the Dodgers. And I'm going to give this one to Philadelphia, actually. Because, I think the Dodgers are going to pretty unimpressive in that series against the Padres. And I think that's going to translate over to a lousy loss to the Phillies. I'm going to predict this one's going to be in a 5-game series. The Phillies overall, just I think, in my opinion, I haven't watched a ton of either team. The Dodgers are always a powerhouse, obviously, but the Phillies also are pretty powerful. And so I'm going to give this one to the Phillies in probably about 5 games. I think the Dodgers will split their homestand, and then the Phillies will win their 3 at home to go to the World Series. So, and that would mean our World Series matchup in 2024, Detroit versus Philadelphia. Now, seeing last year's matchup was the Rangers and the Diamondbacks, this can't be too surprising, right? Anything's possible, I guess. I mean, we could even see a Mets-Tigers series. Let's be real here. Probably not going to happen. But maybe. And I have to give this one to the Tigers. Woo! World Series champions! 40 years after their last World Series championship, they're back in the playoffs. They win their first playoff game forever. They upend the Astros. They upend the Yankees. They upend Cleveland. And they upend Philadelphia to throw all the cheesesteaks in their face as the Tigers win the World Series. Yeah! Woo! Yeah, baby! Go get 'em, Tigers. And go Lions, too.